Welcome on into the Wolverine TV. Michigan has landed another commitment in the class of 2023 as things are starting to heat up a little bit now that we're at the end of the 2022 cycle. Clayton Safey here with EJ Holland and Tim Verghese. We will talk a little bit about Raylen Wilson, four-star linebacker out of Tallahassee that Michigan just landed. And then also remember to just head over to the Wolverine.com to get full coverage of the commitment. But Tim, let's start with you and kind of how this all played out. Obviously, a pretty elite get here, number 94 player in the country. So Michigan fans pretty jacked up about this. How did this all go down?
Yeah, so I talked to his high school head coach kind of about how all this went down, and basically, Michigan, Wilson was always interested in kind of leaving the state of Florida. He had the opportunity to visit Michigan. I think the visit to Michigan kind of opened his eyes to the opportunity up north. Uh, Coach McDonald and Coach Hello did a excellent job in this recruitment. Kind of really took it on from the top. And they outlined their plan for Wilson. I mean, this is a very under McDonald. Michigan is going to always have success recruiting linebackers because it's a very linebacker friendly scheme. And the opportunity to kind of play in the scheme really appealed to Wilson. So it came down kind of quick. I mean, it's an impressive win for Michigan. I mean, you're going up against Georgia, who is recruiting with the best of them and beating them pretty much outright for a linebacker prospect. And so it's a really impressive win for Michigan on the recruiting trail. And it's kind of what I touched on the Wolverine kind of last week. Michigan is involved in the recruitments of some top linebackers, both inside and outside, specifically at the inside linebacker position. Wilson is one of those, one of the top linebackers in the country. And, Michigan's going to continue to push to try and get some more inside linebackers to join Wilson. But Wilson's going to be one of those guys that, he can play probably pretty early in his career, kind of as an inside linebacker, kind of that level of player that, he should be able to contribute very early in his Michigan career.
EJ, a recurring theme in the 2022 class was, that we would talk about throughout the entire cycle. Linebacker, new guy would pop up on the board. Michigan would strike out. And I know it's a new staff, and George Helo's, hasn't even been here a year, but now he's able to get this land. He has ties to the state of Florida, obviously able to use those in this recruitment. How big is this in that regard? And just, a little bit about Helo and Michigan recruiting the state of Florida in general.
Yeah, with Coach Helo, he was actually known as a plus recruiter for Maryland before he joined the Michigan staff. In fact, Michigan fans should remember that George Helo was responsible for flipping Brandon Jennings, a top 100 linebacker from Jacksonville, from Michigan to Maryland before joining the Michigan staff. So it's funny how that one worked out, but that shows what type of recruiter Helo can be. Now, linebacker recruiting was a mess in 2022. It was really up and down with a bunch of, misses and weird recruitments, and it kind of finally worked itself out at the end, but Helo didn't really get to showcase his skill set, and a lot of these coaches didn't. It was more of a transition class. Michigan was coming off a terrible season. Stability was a question mark. These guys didn't have the time to develop relationships. I think Helo can be a really, really good recruiter on Michigan's staff. I think a lot of people kind of just forget about him just because Mike McDonald's involved in a lot of these recruitments as well. And linebacker recruiting hasn't been the best, and it's more, upside takes. So, I think Helo has the capability of showcasing traits of a top level recruiter. And on top of that, as you mentioned, he has really strong ties in the state of Florida, specifically Jacksonville. That's where he's from, where he went to high school. He has a lot of connections in that area, but that extends all the way up into Tallahassee as well. A lot of those Jacksonville, Tallahassee kids play 7-on-7 with each other for their club teams and know each other and compete against each other in non-district games. If you actually draw a triangle from Jacksonville to Tallahassee to Savannah, Georgia, that whole little triangle of area, all those kids really know each other well, and that's where Helo is really well connected. And that's a plus for Michigan for next cycle because there is a lot of talent in that triangle, one. And two, Florida State kind of sucks. So, they have an opportunity to go in there and take advantage next cycle. The stability is there. The wins are there. Helo's relationships and connections are there. Damani Dent, Michigan's 2022 safety commit, actually played on the same club 7-on-7 team as Raylen Wilson. So all those kids are willing to leave the state. Damani Dent was another one. He had some options closer to home, and he decided to go to Michigan. So I do feel like that area is there for the taking. So the entire state of Florida obviously has a ton of talent, and Michigan's always recruited Florida well. But specifically Jacksonville to Tallahassee to Savannah, Georgia, that area is very prime for the taking, and Michigan is more than capable of winning head-to-head battles with Georgia, as it showed against Wilson.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously big because of, when you look at his offer list, the other schools that were coming down or, coming after him. And then, Tim, you mentioned that, he'll probably be able to get on the field pretty early, maybe year one, maybe year two. What makes you say that? What do you like about him as a prospect? I guess break his game down a little bit.
Yeah, so he, like just the on-field traits, you see, very aggressive tackler, very active with his hands and shedding blocks, getting off blocks, impressive short area quickness, just like bursting through the hole, bursting through the line, covering a lot of ground. And then off the field, he's a leader by all accounts. As coach said, he's on the leadership committee. He was the only underclassman on Lincoln's leadership committee as a junior, and he was apparently the leader on the leadership committee as a true junior. He contributes kind of everywhere for them. He plays offense, defense. Again, this is a testament to the kind of athlete he is. Playing in Florida, he's a linebacker that's able to contribute offensively, defensively, punt returns, kick returns. It's a special type of athlete that at his size is able to do those kind of things. So really special athlete, playing the linebacker position, and kind of pair it with his aggressiveness and aggressiveness on the field and just his leadership on and off the field. That's a very complete linebacker prospect, and kind of really what you're looking for in a modern day linebacker.
Definitely. Before we go, EJ, any final thoughts on what Michigan's getting here?
Yeah, I think Tim mentioned it earlier. It's the fact that Wilson is a great scheme fit for Michigan. They're recruiting linebackers with a ton of speed, and that's what Wilson brings to the table. They landed guys like Deuce Spurlock and Aaron Alexander that can run sideline to sideline and are comfortable playing in space. The thing about Spurlock and Alexander, it's their especially with Alexander, is they're more upside project type guys. Wilson's a guy that's ready to go, that, as Tim mentioned, is an elite level athlete. So he's more than comfortable playing in space. He can run sideline to sideline. He can play multiple roles in Michigan's defense. I think Hilo and McDonald are going to have a lot of fun with him. And even though he's undersized, he has the frame to add a lot of weight. And at 6 foot as an inside linebacker, the height doesn't necessarily concern me that much. And Michigan's had success with some undersized Florida linebackers before, Devin Bush. So I think they'll be just fine with Raylen Wilson.
Yeah, no doubt. If he could have Devin Bush consensus All-American first team type of upside, then certainly that would play out well for Michigan. But I'm sure they would take even a little bit less of that production because that's a high bar. But yeah, big land for Michigan here in the class of 2023, off to a really good start in that class. The 2022 cycle, as I mentioned at the top, is coming to a close. So follow along at thewolverine.com. No better time to sign up for our $1 deal. You get an entire year of premium content